Good morning, everyone. Let's begin with your doubts. So please post your doubts. Please post your doubts. Let's begin with them and then we again quickly revise the entire accounting standard 19. Okay, so I have one doubt which says please explain financially. So just wait, I will be revising the entire standard with you and that time you will understand the meaning of financially. Apart from that, any specific doubt? I am going to revise the entire standard AS-19, whatever we have done. So if there is any specific doubt before that, I will solve that first. Okay, so there is one doubt which a lot of students have asked to me, which says, what is the difference between hire purchase and finance lease? Okay, now please understand. First, let me explain you what hire purchase is. Once hire purchase is clear, then we go to finance lease. What happens in hire purchases? One party gives someone the asset to use. So one party can use the asset of the other party for a payment of equal monthly installments. So what happens in a hire purchase is you first pay the down payment. Now this will happen when you can go to buy any two-wheeler or a four-wheeler. First you pay the down payment. After paying the down payment, the remaining amount is paid in equal annual installments. Right, after you pay in equal annual or equal monthly installments, popularly it is monthly installments. So in hire purchase, one party accepts down payments, allows you to use the asset, and the remaining amount is paid in equal monthly installments. Now remember, in hire purchase, when the last installment is paid, you automatically become the owner. That is the key point of hire purchase. When you talk about finance lease not compulsory that you must become the owner at the end. You can only obtain a right to use the asset with the help of a lease known as operating lease. So if you talk about lease, what is a lease? It is an agreement where one party will buy the asset or will allow the other party to use it by paying some consideration. That is known as of a lease. Final one important point that I want to tell you is, in a hire purchase, ownership will transfer at the end when the last installment is paid. However, that is not compulsory because in a lease, the ownership may not transfer if it is an operating lease. Are you understanding? So, the transfer of ownership is a primary difference between hire purchase and lease. There is one more point that I want to bring to your notice, which I have experienced in the practical field. But do not take that as the definition of or the primary difference between finance and between lease and hire purchase. But usually what happens is, usually I'm using the word usually, it's not compulsory that it will happen at every place. Usually what happens, suppose if I am selling, my business is to sell cars, then I will usually enter into a hire purchase, means I will sell the car on hire purchase. But a lease is usually someone is obtaining an asset, and once when someone is obtaining an asset, he is giving it on lease. It's not mandatory that he is usually in the business of that asset that he is giving on lease, right? However, having said this, this is what I have experienced practically. But if you understand the primary difference in hire purchase, three important points. First, down payment is made, remaining equal monthly installments, and at the end ownership will transfer. Lease agreement, there is an agreement where you either transfer the ownership or you give right to use. It is not mandatory, I'm again repeating, it is not mandatory that ownership should transfer at the end in lease. It can only be giving a right to use as it gives in an operating lease, right? So I hope that solves your doubt and explains to you the difference between hire purchase and lease. I think it was Simran's doubt, so I hope that solves your doubt. I hope that solves your doubt. Okay. Any more doubts? Guaranteed residual value, just hold on. I will explain to you guaranteed residual value when we do unguaranteed residual value as well. That is the time when I will be properly able to explain to you. So there are two things that I have read but I have not explained to you. One is the guaranteed residual value, and the second one is the sixth condition. Present value of MLP covers substantial portion of fair value of the asset. Right? I think if there are no more doubts, let's continue and proceed to AS-19. Let's quickly revise whatever we have done in AS-19. We were doing AS-19, which is leases. What is a lease? It is an agreement whereby one person known as the lessor, we understood that over here, one person known as the lessor agrees or gives right to use the asset to a leasee for an agreed period of time, and in return what does he get? Payment or series of payments which are known as your lease rentals. At the beginning of the lease you will have to take a decision whether it is a finance lease or an operating lease. Right. Once you understand that at the beginning we need to take a decision whether it is finance or operating lease, then it is also important to understand what is the meaning of a finance lease. Finance lease is a lease which will substantially transfer all the risk and reward incidental to ownership from the lessor to the leasee. So if the ownership is transferring from the lessor to the leasee, then in this case you will call it as a finance lease. However, there are six conditions, and if any one of the six conditions is satisfied, then you will treat it as a finance lease. If none of the conditions are satisfied, then you will treat it as an operating lease. The first condition, it says ownership of the asset transfers to the leasee at the end of the lease term. So at the end of the lease term, if the ownership is transferring from the lessor to the leasee, then you can classify it as a finance lease. Second, buying option is available and it is reasonably certain that the option will be exercised. So the lessor gives you an option cap asset हमसे खरीद लो, and it is reasonably certain कि आप वो option exercise कर ही लोगे, then you will call it as a finance lease. The third one is that the leased asset is of a specialized nature such that only the leasee can use it. Then usually it is classified as a finance lease. The fourth one is that the lease is non-cancelable. Now, since the lease is non-cancelable, you will consider it to be a finance lease. Next point, for which we saw a couple of examples. Lease tenure covers major part of the useful life of the asset. Major part means exceeding major parts. Major part over here means 75%. Look at the example that we discussed yesterday. This is the example. Say, for example, your useful life, we did one example which, okay, this is the example. We did this example. If useful life is 10 years and lease tenure is 6 years, which means it covers only 60%. Since 60% is less than 75%, this will this will be this will not be a finance lease. Why? Because it does not cover a major part. However, over here it covers 80% of the useful life of the asset. Since 80% exceeds 75%, this will be this will surely be a finance lease, right? This is also something we saw yesterday. And then you have the last point, which is present value of MLP covers substantial portion of the fair value of the asset leased. Substantial portion is not defined in AS-19, but it will be interpreted as 90%, right? This is what we have seen till yesterday. I'm still giving you a couple of minutes. If you have any doubts, we can solve that first and then we proceed to the next part. So if you have any doubts, please post your doubts. If you have any doubts, please post them. Else we proceed. Okay, I have one doubt which says how is the lease amount paid? In installments or at once? So lease amount is always paid in installments. So it is a series of payments which are known as lease payments. Okay, I have one more doubt which says it says if in both loan and lease interest is paid, then why would one go for a lease? Okay, I'll explain that to you. I'll first explain the question to everyone. So there is one question which says कि लोन में भी इंटरेस्ट पे किया जाता है, लीज में भी इंटरेस्ट पे किया जाता है, तो लोग लीज क्यों लेंगे, लोन पे क्यों? Why will not one not go for a loan? Now let me explain this concept to you. When you take a loan from the bank, bank gives you money कि ये लो, हम आपको पैसे दे रहे हैं, आपने जो पर्पस हमको बताया उसी पर्पस के लिए इस पैसे को यूज कर रहा है, दैट इज नोन एज लोन. Second, if I feel that I want an asset, I don't want a loan, I want an asset, and I am obtaining that asset on lease, then I will go for a lease agreement. Now, what is the difference between the two? Please understand this. I have one small project. I want a huge crane. I'm writing over here. I want a huge crane for 5 years. एक मेरा छोटा सा प्रोजेक्ट है जिसमें मुझे एक क्रेन चाहिए, और वो क्रेन कितने टाइम के लिए यूज करना है? 5 years के लिए. आई वॉन्ट टू यूज अ क्रेन. उसके बाद वो क्रेन मेरे कोई काम का नहीं है, विच मीन्स आई डू नॉट वॉन्ट टू बाय. I will not buy. I want right to use. Now, if I go to the bank and tell them, give me a loan, the bank will give me money. With that money, I will have to go to a seller. A seller is there only to sell, not to lease. A seller is there only to sell and not to lease. You will also think that what if I take money from the bank and keep paying installments to the lessor? Then that is a loss for you, because the moment you take the entire money from the bank will charge interest on the entire money, right? Funds will be kept idle with you, but you will be paying only installments. If you want to obtain an asset only for using it for a certain period of time, if you want only a right to use, then it is good to go to a lessor. You go to a lessor, tell him you want right to use. You will enter into an agreement. He will give you the right to use, and then you can keep paying installments, right? So fundamentally, this is the way a loan works, and this is the way a lease works, right? I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was Pushti's doubt. So I hope, Pushti, that clears your doubt completely and you're absolutely clear with that. Okay. After that, I have one more doubt which says point D is how much tenure or years or terms. I didn't understand your question, Akshay. So if you can post it correctly. Your question is in point D, in how much tenure or years or terms. See, there is no tenure in point number D. Look at point number D. Point number D does not mention about any tenure. Point number D says that the lease is non-cancelable. So it does not mention about any tenure. It can be any tenure. If the lease says that it is a non-cancelable lease, you will have to classify it as a finance lease. Okay, let's proceed to another doubt then, which says, if at the time of contract lease was treated as an operating lease, but the end of the lease term, the leasee purchases the asset, then it will be treated as finance lease? No. Then you will do reclassification of lease, which means you earlier classified as a finance lease, then you will reclassify it as an operating lease. Okay, and point C says that the asset is of a specialized nature such that only the leasee can use it. मतलब आपने कोई ऐसा asset lease पे दिया है जो special nature का है और जो सिर्फ leasee ही use कर सकता है, then that will always be classified as a finance lease. Why? Because you have obtained that asset for the leasee. Now now apart from the leasee, it is very difficult to find a user for that asset. Now since it can be used only by the leasee, you will always classify it as a finance, right? That is point C for you. We have already taken one example yesterday, which says this is the example, right? I request you to go through this example. The lessor gives a JCB machine, which is a specialized asset. It is very less. It has very less users for this machine. So, and the leasee is the government. Since the asset is of a specialized nature, such that only the government can use it and no one else can use a JCB machine, in that case, this will be classified as a finance lease. Right? Are you understanding? This is your example that you're asking for. Fine. I hope that solves all the doubts. Then let's proceed with the next part, which says accounting treatment. Okay, accounting treatment is also something we did yesterday. So if we think about finance lease in the books of leasing, for a leasing it is asset as well as liability. For a leasing, this is asset as well as a liability. In the books of leasing, here we have mentioned it is asset as well as a liability. For the leasee, how is it an asset? At the end, the leasee will become the owner of the asset. So asset comes in, you have asset on lease account debit, and lesser is a liability. We need to pay the amount to the lesser, so to lesser account. So the journal entry will be asset on lease account debit to lesser account. Then the question is, what is the amount by which you will record this journal entry? You will record it at present as the fair value of the asset lease, which will always be given to you in the question, or present value of MLP. What is MLP? Minimum lease payments, which includes lease rent agreed plus guaranteed residual value. Right? So your journal entry in the books of leasing for finance lease is asset on lease account debit to lesser account. The amount will be recorded at lower of fair value of the asset leased or present value of MLP, whichever is lower. Present value of MLP. In that, MLP means minimum lease payments, which is lease rent agreed plus guaranteed residual value. Are you understanding? Fine. After this is done, let's go to the next part, which says key points. Ab dhyan dena, what are the key points? Key point says that MLP will not include any expense. Important point is it will not include any expense. MLP में क्या include नहीं होगा? Any expense in the form of repairs, maintenance, etc. And it should be charged to revenue as and when incurred, which means MLP में आप कभी भी repair maintenance का expense add नहीं करेंगे. Repair maintenance का जो भी expense है, that will straight away go to the profit and loss account. Are you getting it? That's the first point, that MLP will never include repair and maintenance expenses. Second point, if there is any contingent rent which is given in the question for the purposes of MLP, you will ignore it. Why? Because contingency is involved, where something is not sure today and it is dependent on a future activity. When your rent is dependent on the future activity, which is also uncertain, then you will not include this kind of a thing in calculating the rent. So again, I'm reading that for you. If there is any contingent rent given in the question for the purposes of MLP, you will completely ignore it. Contingent rent means that portion of rent which is dependent on future uncertain variable. For example, rent depending on sales or production, etc. Third point, now see, this is where you use substance over form. When you are entering into a finance lease, you know that at the end, it is the leasee who will become the owner. You do not look at the legal form of the transaction, you look at the substance. The substance of the transaction says that the ownership will transfer from the lessor to the leasee. That is why it is the leasee who will charge depreciation in this case. So depreciation in this case will be charged by the leasee. So it is the leasee who will charge the depreciation in case of finances. Last one, it is mentioned above that present value of MLP shall be taken. For finding the present value, a discount rate is required, which can be obtained as follows. Okay, before I go to that, before I go to the fourth point, let me quickly explain to you the key points. The first key point says that MLP will never include repair and maintenance. That repair and maintenance will always go to the profit and loss account. Second, if there is any kind of contingent rent in the question, then when you calculate MLP, contingent rent should not be taken into account. Contingent rent is nothing but the rent that is dependent on future uncertain variables. Third, substance over form, depreciation will be charged in this case by the leasee. So the leasee will be the one who will charge depreciation in this case. And now come to the fourth one. And for the fourth one, you will need this chart. Let's follow this chart. It is mentioned, now we are calculating, please remember, we are calculating the present value of MLP. See, this is where it is mentioned you're calculating the present value of minimum lease payments, which means you need a discounting factor to calculate the present value. How do you get the discounting factor? Let's understand that. It is mentioned that present value of MLP shall be taken for finding present value. Uh, a discount rate is required, which can be obtained as follows. So look at the first choice. How will you obtain the discount rate for calculating the present value of MLP? Your first choice is you will take the interest rate implicit from the viewpoint of the lessor. Very important. For present value, your first choice is interest rate implicit from the viewpoint of lessor. Very important point. You will take interest rate implicit from the viewpoint of the lessor. Alternate choice, if you cannot get the first one, then your second choice will be pre-tax incremental rate of borrowing. So you will take the pre-tax rate of borrowing. You will take the pre-tax rate of borrowing. Are you understanding? Okay. So how will you select? So you have to find present value of MLP. In order to find the present value, you need the discounting factor. How will you calculate the discounting factor? Your first choice is interest rate implicit from the viewpoint of the lessor. And your second choice is pre-tax incremental rate of borrowing. Are you understanding? Okay. Let's go to the next one. Calculation of interest rate implicit from the viewpoint of lessor. How will you calculate IRR from the viewpoint of the lessor? For a lessor, residual value includes uh, guaranteed as well as unguaranteed residual value. Okay, very important. For a leasee, you will include only guaranteed residual value. However, for a lessor, you will include guaranteed and unguaranteed residual value. You will include both guaranteed and unguaranteed residual value. Both needs to be included. So for a leasee, you will include only the guaranteed residual value, but for the lessor, you will include both guaranteed and unguaranteed residual value. Right? Why does that happen? We will understand that in a while. As of now, remember, for a leasee, you will include only guaranteed residual value, but for a lessor, you will include both guaranteed and unguaranteed residual value. Okay, come to the next one, which says for a lessor, residual value includes guaranteed residual value as well as unguaranteed residual value. Interest rate implicit is nothing but IRR for the lessor. So I think you have been taught IRR in financial management. Has Molin sir taught you IRR in financial management? Have you reached that topic? Have you reached that topic of IRR? Okay, you have been taught. So when I go to those questions, it will be easier for you to understand. Okay, great. I think I had one doubt which I have missed, which says, let me just scroll up. It says, don't we have to pay rent unconditionally? So how a contingent rent comes into picture? Okay, sometimes the extra rent that you have, so you have some fixed rent and some rent based on production or some rent based on sales. So if the fixed rent portion is fixed, but sometimes along with that you also have some contingent rent, so in that case contingent rent will not be included. So there can be two types of rent कि इतना रेंट तो हम आपसे फिक्स लेंगे और बाकी जितना भी आप सेल करेंगे या जितना भी आप प्रोडक्शन करेंगे उसका कुछ पोर्शन हम ले लेंगे. Which means there are two types of rent. One is a fixed rent which you will always include. One is the contingent rent that you cannot include over here. Right? I hope that clearly solves your doubt. Okay, if that does, let's proceed to the next part. We will be doing the IRR later on. come to the last part in the books of lesser. How will you treat direct expenses for effecting finance lease? So whenever you have finance lease, how will you treat the direct expenses? Now, what is the meaning of direct expenses? Expenses directly attributable to your activity. See what they've given. Treatment of direct expenses for effecting finance lease in the books of leasing. Now, answer a question to me. If I talk about finance lease, ध्यान देना इस question पे. If I talk about finance lease in the books of leasing, can I say, if I talk about finance lease in the books of leasing, can I say the leasee is obtaining an asset? Everyone on your chat box, can I say that the leasee is obtaining an asset? Is it true? In finance lease, does the leasee obtain an asset? That is my question to you. Right? Please answer my question. You'll be able to easily understand whatever I'm saying. Okay. What you all are saying is absolutely correct. The leasee does obtain the asset. Let me tell you one more thing. You would have, I'm sure you would have studied this in the 11th standard, that whenever you are purchasing an asset, whenever you purchase an asset, all the direct expenses the asset will be capitalized. You agree with this? 11th standard में पढ़ा था that whenever you purchase an asset, any direct expense will be capitalized. ये हमको कौन सिखाता है? पढ़ा तो 11 में था, पर who says this? Accounting standard 10 tells you कि कोई भी asset अगर आप खरीदते हैं तो any expense directly attributable to acquisition of the asset will be capitalized. Now I want to ask you a question over here. If you have understood this, my question to you is, हम किसकी बात कर रहे हैं? देखो यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है direct expense की बात कर रहे हैं. We are talking about direct expense in the books of the lesser. So direct expense, sorry, in the books of the leasee. So direct expense in the books of the leasee, direct expense in the books of the person who is buying the asset will always and always be capitalized. इसलिए देखो यहाँ पे क्या लिखा हुआ है? To be capitalized to the cost of the asset. Are you understanding? Direct expenses for effecting finance lease in the books of leasee. Leasee is the one who is obtaining the asset, buying the asset. In the books of leasee, it will always and always be capitalized. Are you understanding? On the other hand, in the books of lesser, accounting standard 19 gives two choices. You can select whatever you want to select. The first choice says you can debit the entire direct expense to the profit and loss account, or you can amortize it over the lease tenure. So you can either amortize over the lease tenure, or you can debit it to the profit and loss account. Are you understanding? Again, I'm repeating this for you. Then we quickly revise the entire treatment in the books of leasee. Then we shift to the books of the lesser. Right. The last point in the books of leasee is treatment of direct expenses for effecting a finance lease. How do you do that? The direct expense in the books of leasee will always be capitalized because he's buying an asset, and any direct expense relating to acquisition of an asset will always be capitalized. However, in the books of lesser, you will debit the profit and loss account, or you will amortize over the lease tenure. You have a choice for the lesser, but for a leasee, all you have to do is capitalize it to the cost of the asset. Are you understanding? Fine, let me quickly revise whatever we have done, and then we proceed to the next part of the accounting standard. Okay, I'm going back to the first page, which says we are doing AS-19 leases. What is a lease? It is an agreement whereby the lessor gives right to use the asset to a leasee for an agreed period of time, and in return of that, the lessor gets payments or a series of payments which are known as lease rentals. At the beginning of the lease, you will have to take a decision whether it is a finance lease or an operating lease. If you talk about finance lease, it means a lease that substantially transfers all the risk and reward incidental to ownership from the lessor to the leasee. There are 6 conditions. If any one of the conditions are satisfied, then you will classify it as a finance lease. Else you will treat it as an operating lease. The first one can be ownership of the asset transfers to the leasee at the end of the lease term. Second is buying option is available and it is reasonably certain that the option will be exercised. Then you have the third, leased asset is of a specialized nature such that only the leasee can use it. The fourth one is lease is non-cancelable. Lease tenure covers major part of the useful life of the asset. And the last one is present value of MLP covers substantial portion of the fair value of the asset. Right? If any one of these six conditions are satisfied, you will treat it as a finance lease, else you will treat it as an operating lease. After that, we did the accounting treatment in the books of leasing. First, we tried to understand the nature. Remember, if you understand the nature of the transaction, understanding the journal entry will become very easy. Now, understand this point. It says in the books of leasing, the journal entry for finance lease will be asset on lease account debit to lesser account. The above journal entry you will record at fair value of the asset, which will always be given to you in the question, or present value of minimum lease payments, which means lease rent agreed plus guaranteed residual value. What are the key points? MLP will not include any expense which is pertaining to repair and maintenance. If there is a contingent rent for the purposes of MLP, you will ignore it. And depreciation will be charged by the leasee because we follow substance over form. How will you calculate the discount factor? Because if you have the present value, you need the discount factor. So your first choice will be interest rate implicit from the viewpoint of the lessor. Interest rate implicit is nothing but the IRR. An alternate choice will be pre-tax incremental rate of borrowing. How will you calculate interest rate implicit? As we've already discussed, it is nothing but the IRR, and for a lessor it includes guaranteed as well as unguaranteed residual value, but for a leasee it will always include only the guaranteed residual value. And finally, you have direct expenses for effecting finance lease. In the books of leasing, the direct expense for obtaining the finance lease will be capitalized. For a lessor, it can either be debited to the profit and loss account, or it can be amortized over the lease tenure. Are you understanding? Okay, I have one doubt which says what can be the direct expense for the lessor? Please give its example. Okay, say for example I am the lessor, you are the leasee. Now if I want to transfer the ownership of the asset from the lessor to the leasee, okay, understand this example. I am the lessor, you are the leasee. When I transfer the asset, it may so happen that as a seller, I may have to document this sale, and in order to document this sale, it may so happen that I may have to buy a stamp paper, get it signed and authenticated from an advocate, and only then a sale deed can be prepared. It may so happen that we decide that the lessor will bear this expense, an expense to do the documentation to complete the sale. Now, when you will do your documentation to purchase, that is your direct expense. When you would want the asset to be transferred in your name and you pay some fees for that, then that is direct expense for the leasing. But when I am selling, and when I am selling, I have to do some documentation, then that expense is direct expense for the lessor, which will either be debited to the profit and loss account, or you will amortize over the lease tenure. Right? Are you understanding? I hope, Ishita, that solves your doubt regarding the example for uh, direct expense for a lessor. Okay, I have another doubt which says leasee will have to pay guaranteed residual value to lessor. Just hold on for that guaranteed residual value thing. I told you today at the beginning there are two things that I'm leaving, which I will do when you have practical questions, and I'll also explain the concept to you. One of them is the guaranteed and the unguaranteed residual value, and the second point is present value of MLP. So I request you to just hold on for some time. Today we will do a question where you will have guaranteed, unguaranteed residual value. I will explain that to you at that time, and of course I will also explain it to you when we do the present value of MLP as well. Okay, one more doubt which says amortize over lease tenure means, suppose if your expense is 10,000 and your lease tenure is 5 years, then every year you will debit how much? 2,000. You will debit to the PNL. So till at the end of the fifth year, entire 10,000 will be amortized to the profit and loss account. This is the meaning of amortize over lease tenure. Right? I hope that solves your doubt as well. Okay, Fine. So since all the doubts are sorted, let's proceed with in the books of lesser. अब देखो क्वेश्चन ये है कि लेसर के बुक्स में एंट्री कैसे करनी है. If you think about the lesser, again let's understand the nature of the transaction. एक तो lesser is selling the asset. सबसे पहली बात. Second, he is going to receive money. Which means if I think from the viewpoint of a lesser, it is sale and receivable both. Right? ध्यान देना. Receivable कैसे? Easy से पैसे मिलने वाले हैं. Easy will pay money. That is why it is a receivable. And asset will go out. Since asset goes out, it is a sale. Are you understanding? So leasee will pay the money, that is why it is a receivable, and asset goes out, that is why it is a sale. If you look at the books of the lesser, this is the nature of the transaction. Now, if you understand the nature of the transaction, you will easily be able to understand the journal entry as well. So let's now post the journal entry. So the journal entry will be leasee account debit to asset account. Leasee account debit to asset account. This will be the entry in the books of the lesser. In what case? In a finance lease. This will be the entry in the books of the lesser for a finance lease. Are you understanding? So for a lesser in finance lease, the entry will be leasee account debit to asset account. This is your amount at which you will record. Now the question is, how will you derive the amount at which you will record this entry? Let's look at that. It says in the books of lesser, your accounting treatment will be finance lease shall be recognized as a sale as well as a receivable. We've already seen that accounting entry will be leasee account debit to asset account. The above entry should be recorded at present value of gross investment. Okay, so the above accounting entry will be recorded at present value of GI. What is the meaning of GI? Gross investment. You will record it at present value of gross investment. What is present value of gross investment? Let's see that. It is lease rent agreed plus residual value. Right? You remember earlier we had something known as guaranteed residual value. Here you have only residual value. So I'm writing over here lease rent agreed plus residual value. And let's explain residual value. Residual value means guaranteed as well as unguaranteed value. Are you understanding? Present value of GI, gross investment, means lease rent agreed plus guaranteed residual value. Lease rent agreed we've already discussed. What is your residual value? It includes guaranteed as well as unguaranteed residual value. So both residual values will be considered, which means I want to draw your attention over here once again. For the leasee, when you calculate MLP, you will only and only include the guaranteed residual value. On the other hand, the lesser will include guaranteed as well as the unguaranteed residual value. Are you understanding? Okay, now since we have reached to the lesser and we have understood that who will include what, let us now understand the entire concept of guaranteed and unguaranteed residual value. So pay attention. I'm before that I'll just read this portion. In the books of lesser, the accounting treatment will be that finance lease shall be recognized as a lease as well as a receivable. Accounting entry will be leasee account debit to asset account. The above entry should be recorded at present value of gross investment. What is the meaning of gross investment? Lease rent agreed plus guaranteed residual value. Look at the notes. Residual value will include guaranteed and unguaranteed, both residual value. So when you talk about the lesser, it will include both guaranteed as well as unguaranteed residual value. Look at the next point. Discount rate to be used is interest rate implicit from the viewpoint of lesser. So again it says IRR from the viewpoint of lesser, which means I want to again bring it to your notice that this present value, the first choice that we studied, it was interest rate implicit from the viewpoint of lesser. This was for a leasing. Again I am repeating, for the lesser it is the same. The lesser will also use IRR from the viewpoint of lesser. IRR from the viewpoint of the lesser, which means you have interest rate implicit from the viewpoint of the lesser in finance lease in the books of lesser. You have interest rate implicit from the viewpoint of the lesser in the books of leasing, again in the finance lease, which means discount rate ढूंढने का एक ही तरीका है दोनों की बुक में, which is interest rate implicit from the viewpoint of the lesser. Okay, now you should have a question. If you do not have, I am posting a question for you. You should have a question as to why same discount rate for both. मतलब क्यों दोनों के लिए we will take IRR from the viewpoint of the lesser. That is my question. The question is, why do you use the same discount rate or the same method of calculating the discount rate? Uh, that is the IRR from the viewpoint of lesser. Okay, can someone explain to me why do you think do we have? Can someone explain to me why do you think we have discount rate from the viewpoint of the lesser? Okay, I have one answer which says because the amount will always be decided by the lesser. Okay, my question to you is, why will the amount, Shifa, my question to you is, why will the amount be decided by the lesser? Why will the lesser decide it? My question to you is, why will the lesser exactly what you're saying is absolutely correct. The lesser is the owner of the asset. When you go to a shop, do you say कि ये product मुझे चाहिए इतने रुपए का आता है? You do not say that. The seller will tell you, देखो ये product है इतने रुपए का आता है, आपको चाहिए तो लो. It is not the purchaser who will say what is the price at which it should be sold. It is the seller who will decide the price at which it will be sold. So over here the lesser is the seller. Please understand that is why we always take the viewpoint of the lesser. Please understand this concept carefully. You will always take IRR from the viewpoint of lesser. फिर आप लीजी की बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स लिख रहे हैं या लेसर की, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. Why? Because lesser is the one who owns the asset and he is the one who is selling the asset. So technically lesser is the one who will decide the discount rate in this case. Are you understanding? Okay, fine. I hope this is clear. uh, the next part says the key points. So the key points are: residual value includes guaranteed and unguaranteed residual value. Discount rate to be used is the interest rate implicit from the viewpoint of the lesser. No depreciation shall be charged by the lessee. Now again I have a question to you all. Why will no depreciation be charged by the lessee, by the lesser? Why no depreciation will be charged by the lesser? Why no longer the depreciation will be charged by the lesser? Because, yes, what you're saying is correct, because it is already charged by the lessee. The lessee is already charging depreciation. Can you have two depreciations on one asset? Right, my question to you is, can you have two people charging depreciation on one asset? You cannot do that. कैसा हो सकता है, एक असेट मैंने आपको बेच दी, आप भी डेप्रिसिएशन चार्ज करते हो, मैं भी डेप्रिसिएशन चार्ज करता हूँ, दैट इज नॉट पॉसिबल. You cannot have two people charging depreciation on one asset. So that is why it says in finance lease, we have decided that the leasee will charge the depreciation. So in this case, the lessor will not charge any kind of depreciation. Are you understanding? Okay, fine. Let's come to the next part, which says, let's go to that part where I was to explain to you the concept of guaranteed and unguaranteed residual value. Let's try and understand the concept of guaranteed and unguaranteed residual value. Then you take a break, and then we shift to some interesting questions that we have. Okay, let's understand first guaranteed residual value. First, let's understand guaranteed residual value, and then we go to unguaranteed residual value. Now, in order to explain to you the guaranteed residual value, I need your help. So, please answer to me on the chat box when I ask you a question. Suppose if I buy a mobile phone, which means there are two parties. I and the mobile store owner. My first question to you is, who has more knowledge of the mobile industry? Who do you think has more knowledge of the mobile industry, I or the mobile store owner? That is my question to you. Everyone agrees it is the mobile store owner who will have more knowledge about a mobile phone. Are you understanding? Okay. Second question, dhyan dena. I asked the owner that please give me a phone. He suggests to me brand Y ka phone. I ask him what is the price. He tells me 20,000. I ask him resale value. Please understand, I ask him resale value कितना मिलेगा ये 20,000 का फोन में ले आऊंगा. So he says you can use it till the life of the phone. After you have used it, you bring it to me. If it is in working condition, I promise you I will give you 3,500. Are you understanding? I told him guarantee. He said yes. सिर्फ दो शर्त है, मोबाइल वर्किंग होना चाहिए and get the bill of the phone. Mobile working होना चाहिए. Okay, I'll make it more realistic. Mobile working होना चाहिए, hands free and charger होना चाहिए, and we want and please bring the bill of the phone. I said इतना तो मैं कर ही सकता हूँ, hands free और charger मैं संभाल के रखूंगा, सब कुछ वर्किंग कंडीशन में होगा, सिर्फ फोन पुराना हो गया होगा और बिल भी मैं संभाल के रखूंगा, मैं ले आऊंगा. क्या आप मुझे गारंटी देते हो? He said yes, I guarantee you 3,500 rupees I will give to you, क्योंकि इसका इतना रीसेल वैल्यू तो आएगा. Are you understanding? Okay, now my question to you is, a person, which means me, I have two choices. Either I resell to the owner for 3,500 or I go to the market, search for buyers and sell it above 35. Do you all agree with me that I have these two choices? या तो मैं इसी को 3,500 में बेचूंगा या मार्केट में और जगह पे घूमूंगा और देखूंगा कि क्या 3,500 से कोई ज्यादा देता है. You agree with me? I have these two choices. Yes, everyone agrees. I have these two choices. Choice number one, I will either sell it to the person who is promising me कि मैं आपको promise करता हूँ 3,500 दूंगा, या second, I will look into the market and go for other options. My third question to you is, please understand every question is linked with the logic of taking only guaranteed residual value. My last question to you is, if I find a buyer A who tells me मैं आपको 2,000 रुपए अभी दे देता हूँ, should I sell to A or to the shop owner giving me 3500, to whom should I sell? A tells me 2000 रुपए में दे दूंगा. Shop owner tells me 3500. To whom should I technically sell? To the shop owner. Okay, perfect. Now you remember we apply the concept logic of conservatism, which means the logic of the concept of prudence, which says provide for all the expenses and losses today but do not anticipate the gains. एक बात तो बिल्कुल तय है और कॉमन सेंस की बात है कि 3500 तो आई विल इंश्योर आई गेट मिनिमम, उससे ज्यादा मिलता है तो सबसे अच्छा, पर कोई मुझे 2000 रुपए देगा तो आई विल नॉट सेटल फॉर दैट, क्योंकि एक ऑलरेडी बंदा है जो मुझे 3500 रुपए देने के लिए प्रॉमिस कर चुका है. Which means I am absolutely clear कि 3500 is the bare minimum that I will take. उससे कम तो मैं एक रुपया नहीं लूंगा. उससे ज्यादा अगर कोई देता है तो तब देखा जाएगा, क्योंकि आज किसी ने प्रॉमिस नहीं किया है कि कितना देगा, पर इसने प्रॉमिस किया है कि 3500 तो दूंगा ही दूंगा. Which means I have 3500 in my hand. Because I have 3500 in my hand, I will not accept anything below 3500. Because I know that I'm going to get guaranteed minimum 3500, and remaining whatever I will get, I have to try. We will not look at the remaining. We will focus on the minimum using the conservatism concept, and that is why, most importantly, the leasing will always have a look at the guaranteed residual value. Are you understanding? That is why the leasee will always look at the guaranteed residual value. Are you understanding? Is the concept of the leasee clear over here? Why will the leasee take guaranteed residual value? Is this clear to you? Is this absolutely clear to you? I have not yet gone to the lesser, so leave the lesser. I'm only focusing on the leasee. Why should the leasee take guaranteed residual value? Okay, I have one doubt which says it may so happen that you do not have the charger or the phone is not in the working condition. Then won't it be a contingency? Okay, yes, you are absolutely correct. It will be a contingency. So Spruha, my doubt is to you, and I request Spruha to answer this question. What you are saying is absolutely correct. It may so happen that we have lost the phone, we have lost the charger, we have lost the hands-free. So in that case, I will not get it. Okay, my first question to you is, will you lose it on the day you record or buy the asset? My question to you is, technically, will you lose it on the day when you have purchased the asset? No. Will you lose it later? Say yes, I will lose it later. Later. Will you lose the charger or the asset later on? Might be. Okay. You are saying might be. I am being conservative. I am saying yes, you will lose it. Now please pay attention. If I talk about the residual value, Spruha, this is my question to you. If I talk about the residual value, my question to you is accounting policy or accounting estimate? You are saying might be, I am saying yes, you will lose it. Then my second question to you is residual value, accounting policy, accounting estimate. Okay, accounting estimate. Spruha, again a question to you. Can an accounting estimate change? Can an accounting estimate change? Second question, if yes, prospective or retrospective? Can an accounting estimate change? You said yes. Prospective or retrospective? Prospective effect, which means आज आपने जब असेट खरीदा है, आपको पता है आज तो मैं गुम नहीं कर रहा हूँ या गुम नहीं कर रही हूँ. Today you record the guaranteed residual value. Say for example the next time, within say for example 2 months you lose the charger. Can you change the accounting estimate? Yes. So you will give prospective effect. No need to go back to give retrospective effect. So again, in this case, you can make the change in the residual value and get your new value. Are you understanding? Right? I hope this solves your doubt. I hope this solves your doubt. Okay, perfect. Fine. This is it about the leasing. Let's go to the lesser. Again, I will need your help. Answer some questions and I will be in a position to explain to you. You told me somewhere earlier that from me and the shop owner, the shop owner has more knowledge and contacts in the mobile industry. Right. Has your opinion changed or it is still the same that the shopkeeper has more knowledge? Is your opinion same or is it different? It is the same. I hope nothing has changed that decision. Okay, अब ध्यान देना. जब आप कोई भी मोबाइल वाले के पास जाते हो और आप उसको कहते हो कि सर ये मेरा my phone is now old and I want to replace the phone. You say you want to replace the phone and you want to exchange it. The shopkeeper tells you 3,500, but remember he is a businessman. He is not a he is not a someone who is doing social service, which means see what I'm writing for you. He is offering 3,500 only because he knows that when he sells it further, he will get more than 3,500. Are you understanding? तो फिर से पढ़ रहा हूँ. जो बंदा आपको 3,500 फोन का रेसिडुअल वैल्यू दे रहा है, जो स्टोर कीपर दे रहा है, तो आपको पहली बात तो ये समझनी पड़ेगी कि वो बंदा बिजनेसमैन है, वो कोई सोशल सर्विस नहीं कर रहा है. इसका मतलब ये है कि जो बंदा आपको 3,500 दे रहा है उसको क्लियरली पता है कि जब मैं इसको आगे और किसी को बेचूंगा तो मुझे 3,500 से ज्यादा मिलेगा, तब वो आपको 3,500 दे रहा है. अगर उसको ही 3,000 मिलने वाला होता तो वो आपको 2,500 देता, ताकि आपको आपसे खरीद के आपको 2,500 देगा और कहीं और बेच के उसको 3,000 मिलेगा, तो 500 रुपए उसका प्रॉफिट होगा. Which means 3,500, the one who is giving you knows very well that when he sells it further, he will get more than 3,500. Why will he get more than 3,500? Because he has complete access to the secondary market. He has complete access to the secondary market. What is a secondary market? A secondary market where second-hand phones are actively sold. A a secondary market is a place where second-hand phones are popularly sold and purchased. Now, please understand what do these people do and why it will fetch more value for them and lesser value for me. I'm again writing this for you. For me, it has less value, so I get only 3,500. Same phone is if the shop owner is selling, he will get more amount. Why? Reason number one, he has more access to the market. उसको पता है कौन सा मोबाइल खरीदने वाला कहाँ बैठा है और उसको किस रेट पे देना है. He has complete access to the market. Second, very important, I do not repair phones, but the shopkeeper does. I do not repair phones, but the shopkeeper does, which means कोई पुराना फोन मेरे लिए बेकार है, लेकिन वही पुराना फोन शॉपकीपर के लिए काम का है, क्योंकि उस फोन को वो खोल के सारे स्पेयर पार्ट्स निकाल सकता है. किसी फोन का स्पेयर पार्ट खराब हुआ तो वो रिप्लेस करके दे सकता है. जब वो अपने सारे स्पेयर पार्ट निकाल के बेच देगा, उसको 3,500 से तो ज्यादा ही मिलेगा. उसको पता है कि मैं इस जो फोन खरीद रहा हूँ 3,500 में, उसके स्पेयर पार्ट्स भी बेचूंगा, उसकी बॉडी भी यूज करूंगा, उसका कुछ भी पार्ट यूज करूंगा, तो सब मिला के मुझे 3,500 से ज्यादा मिलेगा. विच मीन्स ही हैज एक्सेस टू 2 मार्केट्स. उसको ये तो पता है कि जो मैंने गारंटी दी है वो तो मैं रिकवर करूंगा ही, प्लस जो मैं उसके ऊपर कमाने वाला हूँ, दैट इज द अनगारंटीड पोर्शन, that is something which again I will get access to. So of course I have the guaranteed portion. I also have the unguaranteed portion. So I have access to both the guaranteed as well as the unguaranteed portion. So when you talk about the lesser, you will always take guaranteed value and the unguaranteed value. All right. I hope you are absolutely clear with this and the entire concept is clear to you. Have you understood this carefully? What is a guaranteed residual value and what is an unguaranteed residual value? Why will the lesser take both? Why will the leasee take only one? Are you clear with this? Quickly let me know. Are you clear with this? Okay, I have one doubt which says I'm not getting the logic as to why uh, unguaranteed value is recorded for the lesser, because the lesser is the person who is selling the asset to you for 3500. He knows that he is not only going to recover 3500 when he further sells it, he is also going to get something more than 3500, which we call as the unguaranteed portion. He The person who is the lesser who is going the lesser, when he is giving you the asset, he guarantees you 3500 as the residual value, but he knows that when I go to the market where to which this product belongs, I will be able to fetch more than 3500. So 3500 is my guaranteed portion, and whatever excess I will get is my unguaranteed portion. Why will the lesser fetch more than 3500? 2 points. One, he has more access to the market, so he knows where to sell and who will give him more value. Second, he is also a repairer, so he can utilize that product, repair, and earn money out of those spare parts that are there. Which means the lesser has access to a market, plus he repairs, so he can fetch more than 3500. The amount above the 3500 is his unguaranteed residual value, which the lesser is going to fetch, but not the leasing. That is why you will include it in the books of the lesser. Okay, so Raj, your doubt will be solved when we do a question. So you will come to know why should it be added and why should it not be added. Are you understanding? And before I explain that to you, please understand, we are not calculating residual value. Sorry, we are not calculating MLP. Be very clear with one thing. हम लोग MLP नहीं ढूंढ रहे हैं. आप कहीं पे भी देखिए, हमने 2 journal entry पास की है. I want to draw your attention, in fact each one of yours attention, to this point. यहाँ पे मैंने क्या लिखा है? Asset account debit to lesser account. मतलब मुझे असेट किस वैल्यू पे रिकॉर्ड करना है, दैट इज द क्वेश्चन. अब असेट किस वैल्यू पे रिकॉर्ड करना है, तो मुझे पता होना चाहिए असेट की इतनी कीमत है, प्लस इस असेट का मुझे रेसिडुअल वैल्यू भी मिलने वाला है. मतलब दोनों का कंबाइंड इज माय वैल्यू ऑफ द असेट. कहीं पे दिया है दैट प्लीज फाइंड आउट द वैल्यू ऑफ एमएलपी, नॉट गिवन. The value of MLP will help you decide the value of the asset in this case. That is why it says MLP को यूज करके हमको asset का वैल्यू निकालना है. और वही MLP कैसे आएगा? एक तो जितना रेंट उसका फेच हम कर रहे हैं वो, प्लस गारंटीड रेसिडुअल वैल्यू भी हमको देना है, because that is the value that will be deciding the final value of the asset that we will be recording in the books. Right? Having said this, when we will do a question practically, you will understand why should it be added and why it should not be deducted. All right, I hope you are fine with that. Okay, after this, And I hope everyone is, I hope Spruha, you're clear with that doubt of yours, that regarding the logic for unguaranteed residual value. I hope that is also fine to you. Okay. What I recommend is, let's take a break. Whatever we have studied till now, let me quickly give you an overview. We've already discussed about the leasing. Let me discuss with you about the lesser, and then we take a break. In the books of lesser, we are talking about finance lease, which is sale as well as a receivable. The accounting entry will be leasing account debit to asset account. The above entry should be recorded at present value of GI, which is your gross investment. What is your gross investment? Gross investment means lease rent agreed plus the total residual value, which means guaranteed as well as unguaranteed both. How will you use the discount rate? It's the same one, the interest rate implicit from the viewpoint of the lesser. And because the leasee is already charging depreciation, the lesser in this case cannot charge depreciation. Are you understanding? I think this much is sufficient as of now. Let's take a break, and after that we continue with the remaining part of the standard. So it is 9:11 now. Take a break for 10 minutes. I'll see you at 9:20. Right? So I will see you back sharp at 9:20, and then we continue with the next part of the standard. Take a break and then we continue. Okay, let's continue. Let's continue with AS-19. Leave unearned finance income and operating lease. We will see that later on. Let's do one question to practically understand whatever we have done. I think we can begin with question number 4. Yes, let's begin with question number 4. Let's do question number 4. Okay, everyone should have a pen and a notebook where you will solve. I also recommend you have a calculator. You will need that. Okay, let's go to question number 4. I'm reading the question for you. It says annual lease rent is 40,000 at the end of each year. Underline that, 40,000 at the end of each year. Lease period is 5 years. Guaranteed residual value is 14,000. Fair value at the beginning of the lease is 1,50,000. Interest rate implicit on lease is 12.6%. IRR सीधा सीधा क्वेश्चन में दिया हुआ है, कितना है? 12.6%. IRR का प्रेजेंट वैल्यू फैक्टर जो हम निकालते हैं 100 डिवाइड बाय या 1 डिवाइड बाय जो आप करते हैं एफएम में, वो वैल्यूज भी आपको क्वेश्चन में दी हुई है, तो वो कैलकुलेट करने की भी जरूरत नहीं. The present value factors at 12.6% are 0.89, 0.79, 0.7, 0.622 and 0.522 at the end of the first year, second year, third year, fourth year and fifth year respectively. Right? करना क्या है क्वेश्चन में? Show a journal entry to record the asset taken on finance lease in the books of lease. मतलब important information मुझे ये पता चलती है कि एक तो ये finance lease है, दूसरा किसकी बुक्स में एंट्री करनी है? लीजी. और तीसरा क्या दिखाना है? असेट को यू विल रिकॉर्ड एट विच वैल्यू. यू अंडरस्टैंडिंग? क्या पास करना है? जर्नल एंट्री इन द बुक्स ऑफ लीजी, सब taking it to be a finance lease and you need to record the asset. Are you understanding? Okay, let's solve it. Put your first statement. As per accounting standard 19, leases. Journal entry in the books of the leasing. करना क्या है? Journal entries in the books of leasing. Okay, my question to you is, can someone tell me on the chat box? Can someone tell me on the chat box? What is the journal entry in the books of leasing in finance lease? My question to you is, what is the journal entry in the books of leasing in finance lease? What is the entry in the books of leasing in finance lease? Okay, so you have asset account debit to lesser account. So I'm writing over here, asset on lease account will be debited you have to lesser account. Are Are you understanding? Now the second question is, and the second thing that we need to see is, what is the value at which this asset will be recorded? So this is your debit side, this is your credit side. Let me put that properly for you. Debit and credit side. Okay. How will you record the asset? You will have to record the asset at lower of fair value of the asset and present value of MLP. Right? Let's write this properly. Of course, before that, let us put the narration being asset obtained on finance is recorded. Right? You need not write in the books of leasing because it is understood that you are writing the books of leasing, so no need to mention that. Let's put it over here. The above accounting entry will be recorded at lower of a fair value of the leased AS-19 of the leased asset. Can someone tell me what is the fair value of the leased asset in the question? Can someone tell me what is the fair value of the leased asset in the question? 1,50,000. From where did you get that? Given in the question. Or B, present value of MLP. Present value of MLP. My question to you is present value of MLP given in the question? My question to you is present value of MLP given in the question? Is present value of MLP given in the question? No. So we need to prepare working note 1. We will put the amount later on, but from where did we get it? From where will we derive it? We will derive it from working note 1. We will derive it from working note 1. Are you understanding? Let's prepare working note 1. Working note 1. Calculation of present value of MLP. Let's calculate this present value of MLP. You need to prepare a format. You have year. Let's take particulars over here. Then you have present value factor at 12.6%. Finally, you have the present value. You have the present value, which will be in rupees. Okay, you have, prepare the format. I'll wait for you. Prepare the format systematically. Solve the question along with me. This is the most basic question, and it has been asked once in the exam for 5 marks. Absolutely simple question. A question where you can score full marks. Right. I hope you are ready with the format. Let's begin. For the first 5 years, so we are taking all the 5 years together. No need to take it separately. Why? Because your lease rental is the same. So unnecessarily, no need to take it separately. For the first 5 years, what's your lease rental? 40,000. I'm writing over here. Lease rental. For the first 5 years, your lease rental is 40,000. Let's take the present value. Let's calculate what the present value will be. Now, your present value factor at 12.6% is 0.89 plus 0.79 plus 0.7 plus 0.622 plus 0.552. You get 3.554. Please, everyone, calculate for yourself and tell me. Do you get 3.554? Please calculate. Do you get 3.554 for the first 5 years? You will get 3.554. So let's put over here. Our present value factor at 12.6% is 3.554 is equal to this multiplied by 40,000. You get 142,160. You get 1,42,160. Solve this. Please calculate on your own. I am also using a calculator in front of you to verify all the values. Multiply by 40,000. You get 142,160. Please calculate. If you don't understand, ask me. Don't copy. You're not here to copy. You're here to understand and then practice the question. Okay, if you're done with this, let's come to the fifth year. In the fifth year, you have guaranteed residual value. Now, my question to you is, if it is a finance lease and if it is in the books of leasing, should I include guaranteed residual value? Should I include guaranteed residual value? That is my question to you. Of course, yes, I will have to include the guaranteed residual value. So I am taking how much? 14,000. 14,000 is my GRV, guaranteed residual value. What is, okay, my question again to you is, please pay attention. My question to you is, when will I get the residual value? And I'm giving you options as well. Every year or in the last year. Means at the end of the last year. Every year or at the end of the last year. Of course, at the end of the last year. Which means when I take the present value factor, I should take it off the fifth year. I should take the present value factor of the fifth year, which will be 0.552. Are you understanding? Which will be what? 0.552. I will multiply this by 14,000. I get how much? 7728. Let's cross check that. You get 0.552 multiply by 14,000. You get 7728. Are you understanding? You will get 7728. Let's take the total. What is this total for you? You get 149,888, which is nothing but present value of MLP. You get it to be the present value of MLP. Right now, we are absolutely clear. My fair value of the asset is 1,50,000. My present value of MLP comes to 1,49,000. I get 1,49,000 triple eight. Tell me, what will you take? We have to take whichever is lower. So will you take 1,50,000 or 1,49,000 triple eight? What is the value that you will take? Everyone on your chat box, what is the value that you will take? 149,888 or 1,50,000? You will of course take the whichever is lower, which is 1,49,888. So let's put our journal entry values over here. You will have 1,49,888. You have 1,49,888. Put over there 149,888. Right? Are you clear with this question? This was once asked in the exam for 5 marks. Absolutely simple question. Are you clear with this question? Are you clear with this question? Any doubts on this? And I think now, Raj, you will be able to understand why are we adding the two, because we want to find out the value of the asset. This is the value at which the asset will be recorded. So you are using present value of MLP to find out what the value of the asset. So you pick up 1,50,000 or 149,888. You will then select whichever is lower. Right? I hope that solves. That is absolutely clear to you. If you're done with this, let's go to another question. I hope you all are clear and you have no doubts. If you are clear with this, let's go to another question. And we will do question number 14. Let's do question number 14. Let's solve question number 14. Here it is, question number 14. Okay. It says S Square Private Limited has taken a machine on lease from Escape Limited. The information is as under. Your lease term is 4 years. Fair value at the inception of the lease is 6,25,000. Then you have present value at the end of the your lease rent is 6,25,000 per annum. At the end of the year, your guaranteed residual value is 1,25,000. Your expected residual value is 3,75,000. Your interest rate implicit is how much? 15%. Again, IRR is straight away given to you in the question. Interest rate implicit is 15%. Your discounted rates are also given to you: 0.8696, 0.7561, 0.6575 and 0.5718. करना क्या है? Calculate the value of, very important word, calculate the value of lease liability. करना क्या है? You have to calculate the value of lease liability. Now my question to you is, before anything else, my simple question to you is, we have understood the nature of any lease for a lesser as well as the leasing. My question to you is, for whom is a finance lease a liability? My question to you is, for whom is a finance lease a liability? Leasing. Okay. In which lease do you have a liability? Of course, you have it in the finance lease. So you have a liability in the finance lease, which is in the books of leasing. So everyone agrees, for a leasing in a finance lease, you have a liability, which means this statement, the statement which says calculate the lease liability, this statement indicates that you have to pass entries in the books of leasing for finance. Are you understanding? Are you understanding the manner in which they have given information? They are trying to indicate to you कि भैया लीज लायबिलिटी ढूंढ के, तो अब आपको पता होना चाहिए कि लायबिलिटी किसकी बुक्स में होती है, लीजी की बुक्स में होती है. कौन से टाइप के लीज में? फाइनेंस लीज में. विच मीन्स वो हमसे जर्नल एंट्री पूछ रहे हैं इन द बुक्स ऑफ लीजी फॉर अ फाइनेंस लीज. Are you understanding? This is the way they have given the information in the question. I hope you understand this carefully. That this is an indicator that this is in the books of leasing for a finance lease. Right? If you're clear with this, let's proceed. Karna kya hai? Calculate the value of lease liability. Okay, put your first question. Sorry, put your first statement. We are doing question number 14. Put your first statement. Question number 14. Put your first statement. As per accounting standard 19, leases calculation of lease liability. Calculation of lease liability. A lease liability is recorded in the books of leasing in a finance lease at lower of. Look at your question and tell me, what is the fair value of the asset in the question? What is the fair value of the asset in the question? Everyone on your chat box, what is the fair value of the asset in the question? Fair value of the asset in the question is how much? 20 lakhs. So let's mention over here 20 lakhs. And present value of MLP we will have to work out. So we'll work that out. Present value of MLP we will need working note 1. So we will work that out. Present value of MLP will be your working note 1. Write this much, write the first part, prepare your format, and then we proceed to the next part. Okay. I hope you all are ready with the format. Let's proceed solving the question. You have 4 years in the question, so 1 to 4. What will be your lease rental per annum? Look at the question and tell me on your chat box. What's the lease rental per annum? What is your lease rental per annum? Everyone on your chat box, what is the lease rental per annum? 6,25,000. Take over here. 6,25,000. Your present value factor in the question is 15%. So let's take 15%. We will need a calculator over here. So let's calculate 15%. You have 0.8696. Be very careful when you do the totaling. Don't make silly mistakes. You will add to that 0.75. You will add to that 0.7561 plus 0.6575 plus 0.5718. You get 2.855. Put over here 2.855. You will get 1,14,200. Multiply this by 6,25,000. You will get 2.855 into 6,25,000. Let me just check this again. Yes, sorry, you will get 17,84,375. So 2.855 into 6,25,000. You get 17 lakh. What is 6,25,000? It is your lease rent. Okay, come to the fourth year. Tell me, we are preparing the books of leasing. What are we? And it is a finance lease. What should I take? Guaranteed or total residual value? Everyone on your chat box, guaranteed residual value or total residual value? What should I take? Guaranteed residual value or your total residual value? What should I take? Okay, everyone agrees we should take the guaranteed residual value. What's your guaranteed residual value in the question? On your chat box, everyone, what is your guaranteed residual value in the question? Your guaranteed residual value in the question is 1,25,000. Again, as we have discussed in the previous question, guaranteed residual value will happen in the fourth year. What is your present value factor for the fourth year? What is your present value factor for the fourth year? What is your present value factor for the fourth year? You get 0.5718, put that value. You will get how much? 71,475. take your present value of MLB, which comes to 18,55,850. Let's put it over here. We have 18,55,850. Tell me, what will you take? 18,55,850 or 20 lakhs? You will pick up whichever is lower. What is the value that you will pick up? 18,55,850 or 20 lakhs. You will pick up whichever is lower. What is the value that you will pick up? Everyone on your chat box. You will take which value? Whichever is lower. So you will take 18,55,850. So right, therefore, the value of the lease liability is rupees 18 lakh 55,850. Are you understanding? You will get 18 lakh 55,850. Are you getting it? Okay, so we have done two questions. Question number 4, question number 14. I hope everything is clear to you. You go back today, revise the entire AS-19, whatever we have done. I have revised again today from the first sentence. So ensure you also revise today and make sure that you are completely clear with all the concepts. If you have any doubts, please come back to me and I will solve those doubts. Right, I hope I have not missed any doubts today on the chat box that you have posted. I think I had one. Just let me have a look at that. Well, I'm not able to locate it. Okay, I'll take it on personal message. As of now, I'm not able to locate it on the chat box. I'll take it on personal message. Whosoever's doubt it was, please put it to me on personal message. I'll explain it to you. Thank you so much for attending and ensure that you revise the entire standard and come back to me with your doubts. Thank you. And now I'll see you at 3:30 for audit. Thank you.